Good morning, good afternoon, good night, wherever you are in the world. Welcome, welcome, welcome to another video where I help you heal after toxic love. My name is Denise Dominguez, and I help strong women coming out of toxic partnerships move past frustration, doubt, and fear so that you can confidently move into new and healthy relationships. And in this video, I'm going to share with you the 4 steps to thriving after abusive relationships, 4 steps to thriving after toxic love. And this is something that I've applied to my own life, and when I did, it changed everything. So I want to share that with you. So if you are liking these videos, if you're finding value in these videos, smash that like button, subscribe to my channel. I'd be honored for you to be a subscriber. And as always, please share your comments and your questions and your own stories with us, because when other people read your comments, it helps them. So just by you sharing a piece of you, you're helping the world. And I know that if you're on this channel, that's who you are, because that's who I attract, right? I attract those amazing, amazing people. So let's jump into the 4 steps to thriving after toxic love. So let me ask you a question. Do you ever wonder why you don't have what you want out of life? And why you keep attracting the same type of people and relationships and or situations in life? Do you ever wonder why you keep attracting those patterns? Yeah, those are really great questions, and questions maybe that you haven't even asked yourself. So I want to share with you the 4 steps to thriving after toxic love. And if you don't know about me, I was in a toxic relationship for over 20 years. I have 2 children with my ex, and I was in a very toxic relationship for that period of time, but didn't even know it. Because narcissistic abuse is what I call the silent abuse, because there's no crime, right? Because the physical part and the sexual part is not in narcissistic abuse. It is the emotional, the psychological, the mental, the financial pieces of the abuse. The physical and the sexual are not included. So that's how I went for so many years without even knowing that I was in an abusive relationship. And I know there's many, many of you that have gone through the same thing. And so and I share this with you to show you, like, if I did it, so can you. If I can come out of 22 years of being in this type of a relationship, move past that, heal from that, and now engaged to be married to my best friend. We're getting married in 5 months and 20 days on the gorgeous North Carolina beach. If I can do it, so can you. That is what I want you to get. So every time I share a video with you, every time I share advice with you, every time I share an experience with you, or a testimony, or whatever, that is the message behind it. If I did it, so can you. If I did it, so can you. We, my love, are no different from each other. We're just different versions of each other. So when I talk about thriving, I'm not talking about surviving. I'm not talking about getting through today, getting through the weekend. I'm not talking about that. I'm not talking about getting drunk every weekend. No judgment, I did it too. But getting drunk every weekend to just get through, right? Because you keep numbing yourself. I'm talking about thriving, right? Dreams coming true. That's what I'm talking about here. And I'm going to share with you the difference between the 2 of those words, the energy behind those words. Okay? So first, fact, after being in a bad relationship of any kind, right? Could be your parents, siblings, spouse, etc. There must be a healing process afterwards. There has to be. You have to give yourself time to heal from the experience. that you just went through. You have to give yourself the kindness and the patience that you didn't get in that relationship. Okay. Fact. Most of the time we just move on in life. I know. And we find ourselves in the same situation with a different person, repeating the same patterns, because we get in a relationship with somebody who's different on the outside, but we actually get into a relationship with someone who's very much the same as the previous person. The relationship has a lot of similarities too. So healing after a bad relationship only means that you give yourself the time, space, and healing journey to go back to being yourself and to do the things for yourself that no one else has, right? The healing journey helps you to remember who you were before that bad relationship, right? It's important to heal before starting a new relationship. Otherwise, it's like old baggage. You're just dragging that luggage into the new relationship, right? And that's not fair to anybody. That's not fair to you. That's not fair to your partner. That's not fair to the time and energy and effort that both of you are putting into this relationship. It's not fair to the family members who, maybe your family members who actually get attached or like this person, or vice versa. It's just not fair. So what is a bad relationship? A bad relationship is any relationship where you felt that your needs were not met. And of course, when we're talking about narcissistic relationships, we know that only their needs were met. Priority every single day. You were the one left depleted, frustrated, feeling like you're not even there. Like you're just, like I felt like I was just, my whole world was about him. My whole world was, and towards the end, my whole world was putting out fires. What fire am I going to put out today? My whole world was almost like I was just like, I don't want to say trophy, but like I was just a servant. I was just there. I wasn't important. I wasn't valued. I wasn't needed. I was needed. I wasn't wanted. There's a big difference between the two. So, okay. So any relationship where you felt like your needs were not met, any relationship where you were your partner was emotionally unavailable, any relationship where there was verbal abuse, any relationship where there was a lack of trust, any relationship where you were mistreated, any relationship where there was a trauma, drama, or chaos, right, on a daily basis, any relationship that there was any form of abuse, i.e. emotional, physical, sexual, financial, etc., and any relationship dealing with an angry or an aggressive person. And if I told you there was a simple way to heal from these bad relationships and move on with life with ease and clarity, and what if I told you that there are just 4 steps in this process that are easily attainable, okay? Would you want to know the 4 steps? Of course! Of course you do. Of course you do. I need some water. I wonder how old this is. When you yawn, that was me trying not to yawn. When you yawn, it's actually not that you're tired. It's actually there's a lack of water, which is energy, right? So, I don't know about that. Okay. So one of the 3 components to healing ourselves is self-love. Duh. All right. So this has been taught to us the Bible and by many of our masters like Jesus, Krishna, Buddha, to name a few. And we're going to start there because I do know that that is one thing that you recognize that there is a lack of. Okay. Because I ask these questions all the time and I get that I need to love myself. I need to find myself again. All right. All right. So self-love is the first one. And self-love is a practice. It's not a race. So self-love is an action step that you do for yourself every single day. It's the conversation you have with yourself. When you look in the mirror, what are you saying to yourself? It's an act of kindness that you do for yourself, okay? It's more than the self-care, right? The self-care, so think of it this way. The self-care is the outer parts and the self-love is the inner parts. So the self-care is the nails and the hair and the makeup. I care about myself, so I care about how I look. The self-love is the inner pieces. It's the conversations you're having with yourself. It's being kind and patient with yourself. It's the not beating myself up because I made a mistake, right? That's self-love. So the more you practice, the better you'll get at it. I promise you, this is a fact, because I was one of those people who complained, criticized myself, judged myself for every single thing. I was that person. So I can say with 100% certainty, the more you practice, the better you will get. Fact. All right. So ideas of practicing self-love. Meditation. Sweet and loving self-talk. Being patient with yourself, like I just said earlier. Being kind to yourself inside and out. Reading a book you like, or reading a book on personal growth. Looking up at the stars at night with just you and your thoughts and what makes you happy. So self-love is doing more of the things that make you happy, being around people that make you happy, that light you up, that uplift you, that inspire you, versus the alternative. Self-love is doing things, saying things, being around things that light you up. That's what self-love is, taking time for you. Because think of it this way, if you don't love and adore yourself, how can you expect somebody else to love and adore you? And this is one of the biggest factors of why we got into these abusive relationships, is because there was a huge lack of self-love. And like attracts like energy attracts like energy. So the reason, one of the biggest reasons why we got into those abusive relationships is because we didn't love ourselves. And when we're wounded, we attract other wounded people. No doubt the narcissist is definitely more wounded than you are, but still, right? So do the things that light you up. Be around people that you like to be around. Stop sacrificing yourself. I have to put up with so-and-so, or no, you don't. Life is about choices. You have choices. You have free will. All right. And having things around you that you love, even having things around you, like on the other side of this camera is my sacred space, and it has my salt lamp, and it has like a mirror, and it has just colors and stuff that I love, with my giant meditation pillow. I surround myself with people, places, and things that I love, colors that I love. Okay. Smells, right? Basically, when you choose to connect with yourself, you're practicing self-love. And all of those things that I just mentioned is you connecting more to yourself versus sacrificing yourself to appease other people, which is what we normally do, right? So get rid of that and go for what makes me happy. This is not being selfish. This is self-love. Okay? Because when you connect with yourself, you will find yourself connecting with people who you resonate with versus the whole people-pleasing thing. People-pleasing is such a disease. It really is. But that's a disease that's curable. Yay. All right. So you must do this every day. This is, like I said, it's a practice. It's something that you have to practice to do every single day. This is not something one and done, right? This is something every day. And you'll get used to it. So just like riding a bike, there's a lot of effort in the beginning. You have to pay really close attention to it. But after a while, when you get used to it, self-love is going to be something that you just naturally do every day. Okay? All right. So let's move on. Forgiveness. Number 2, forgiveness. Forgiveness is releasing yourself from your own internal prison. That's just the best way that I can describe forgiveness, because all too often we think of forgiveness as I'm excusing your bad behavior and I'm letting it slide. So I forgive you. And then some people think, well, I'm just like letting that person do what they did, or saying it's okay that they did what they did. That's not what forgiveness is. Forgiveness is also not giving permission for that person to come back into your life. I forgive you, so now you can come back into my life. If you know that somebody is extremely toxic, you forgive them within you. This is not, okay, now you can come back in my life and do what you did to me again or worse. That's not forgiveness. Forgiveness is to release yourself from your own internal prison. Okay? This is healthy for you, for your mindset, because when we hold on to grudges, we energetically are constricted and stifled, and that negative story is running inside of our heads, which is not good. And so that's why I call it's an internal prison, right? You're literally in your own prison when you're not forgiving. When you release, let go, and forgive, it all comes out. So the swirling thoughts, the negativity, that negative energy is gone. And you can be you. And you create a space inside of you for you. Okay? That's what forgiveness is. You don't want what happened to you, as bad as it was. I'm not undermining what happened to you or what didn't happen to you, but letting it eat away at you day after day, little by little, that can create illness inside of you. It can create a dis-ease in the body, right? These trapped emotions. Okay. All right. So that's forgiveness. Let's go to, I said that. Well, let me go over 3 health benefits for you on forgiveness. So it lowers stress levels. One of the benefits of forgiveness is lower amounts of cortisol. And also when you meditate, that's also helps you release all of this. Number 2, it keeps your heart healthy. People who hold on to grudges tend to have higher heart rates, while those who are more empathetic and able to forgive tend to have lower heart rates. Number 3, it lowers pain. Having a forgiving heart may lower both emotional and physical pain, according to a study done by Duke University Medical Center researchers. Out of 61 subjects who suffered from chronic back pain, those who were more likely to forgive reported lower levels of pain, leading researchers to believe that a relationship appears to exist between forgiveness and information, important aspects of living with persistent pain. Let me tell you about your body. It's constantly talking to you. It's constantly communicating with you. So you may think, oh, I get a headache here and there. It means something. The headache means something. The pain that keeps showing up means something. The cold you get every year, the sinus infections, the allergies, everything. Your body is constantly talking to you. One of the biggest things that I could share with you is listen to your body. Listen to your body. Listen, it's always communicating with you. Okay? So that was forgiveness. All right. Let's move on to truth. I love truth. Let me share a little story with you. When I went through the most traumatic time of my life, which was 2008, when my then husband had attempted suicide with our 14-year-old daughter in the next room, it was one of the hardest. How old was I then? 38? I think I was 38. One of the hardest things that I had ever been through. Trying to keep it together and hold it together mentally, physically, emotionally, blah, 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 blah. One of the hardest things. And that was the first time in my life that I felt lost, truly lost. That was just a really traumatic time in my life. My kids' life too, of course, but I'm talking about my aspect of things because they had their own journey with that. But what I'm saying is that when it came, so it was so traumatic that I couldn't even utter 3 words of what happened without going into the ugly cry. It was that painful. So just imagine somebody covered in open sores. That was me, covered in open sores. You could barely touch, and I was just a mess. And it wasn't until 2014 that my mentor was like, Denise, you have to share what happened. You have to speak your truth. You have to get it out. And I was so petrified, literally petrified to talk, to say. I literally didn't want to go there. I didn't want to. It was scary. I didn't want to relive it. It was so much easier just to bury it and hide it and just leave it there. It was easier that way. And there's so many side effects to that, but I'm not going to get into that right now. What I'm going to get into with you is that in 2014, when my mentor was like, no, Denise, you have to share. And I listened to her. I didn't want to. But here's the beauty about telling the truth. It is such an emotional, painful release. I just felt so much better when I told my truth. When I shared with her what had happened, it was just like I popped the balloon and all the water came out, all the air came out. It was like, psh. It was great. It was great. It felt so good. And every time I share my truth, I feel better and better and better about it. Sharing this with you, getting on stage and talking to women, coaching my clients, doing Facebook Lives, doing these YouTube videos. Every time I share my truth, I feel better. It's a cleansing of the emotional pain. That's what your truth is. Ooh, that's good. I need to write that down. Hold on, let me write that down. That's a good quote. Your truth is a cleansing of your emotional pain. Your truth is a cleansing of the emotional pain or poison. Okay. So truth is number 3 of the 4 steps to thriving after toxic love. This is something that you must do. Hiding what happened, being ashamed of what happened, feeling guilty for what happened. Here's the truth. None of it is your fault. This is not blaming yourself and blaming others is a wasted energy. It's not your fault. It's not anybody's fault. Okay. It's not my fault that I was in that relationship for 22 years and went through the abuse that I went to. It's not my ex's fault. Although there was a time when I blamed him for everything. It's nobody's fault. It just is. It all happened for a reason. I've learned from it. I've grown from it. My ex-husband is my greatest teacher. This is a man who made me cry every single day. This is a man who never loved me. This is a man who I was in a relationship and had 2 children with. I married, which I took very seriously. He never loved me. He never loved me. I was in love with him. I was madly in love with him. I had just 2 children. We had houses together. We had businesses together. We had a great life. We had awesome vacations. And on paper, he looked amazing because he made a lot of money and he always provided us with, like I said, nice houses and blah, 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 blah. But he never loved me. He never loved me or our children. And that was a huge, hard pill for me to swallow. But that's the truth. So I don't blame him. I don't blame myself. I don't blame the stars. I don't blame the universe. I don't blame anybody. It just is. It all happened for a reason. And that's my truth. And that's your truth. You have to come to that point where you don't feel guilty. You don't feel ashamed of what happened. You can honestly say everything happened for a reason. I'm not mad. I don't blame. I'm not mad at myself. I've forgiven myself. I've forgiven my ex. I'm not mad. When you get to that point, you are so golden, baby. So golden. And that is such a freedom to have when you can honestly speak your truth and come to a point where you are just like, I don't hate anybody. I don't hate my experience. I don't hate my ex. I don't hate the traumas, this, that. I don't hate it. I actually am thankful for it. That's where you want to be. Okay. So lastly, on the 4 steps to thriving after toxic love is trust. Now, this is a huge factor when healing after toxic, after narcissistic relationships. There's a huge lack of trust within ourselves and with other people, right? I don't trust myself that I won't make the same mistake again. I don't trust, I don't trust other people. I'm not even going to go date because all men are shitheads or all women are. I don't trust what my future. I don't trust that what happened for a reason. It was all bad. I don't trust. Okay. And if that's where you're at, I don't blame you for feeling that way. In fact, it's okay that you feel that way. That is part of the healing process. But you're eventually, if you really want to move on, you're going to have to learn how to trust yourself. Here's the good news about trust. You never ever have to learn about trusting anybody else. You only have to learn about trusting yourself. Once you trust yourself, then trusting other people will come naturally. Okay? So you don't have to worry about that. Don't worry about other people. Just focus on you. Focus on your healing journey. When you can trust yourself fully and completely, not sometimes, but all the time, then when you say, for example, let's say you're going on a speed dating thing. I've never been to one, but I've heard and seen all of mine. So you sit with one person. I think it's like 1 minute each. Oh, I did do a speed networking. So I know how it goes, but I'm talking about speed dating. You sit down with this person and this person is really easy on the eyes, really good looking, dressed very nice, good job, makes money, very well liked in the community. Just if you put all those things on paper, they're the perfect mate. They're the perfect person, right? But you sit down with this person and you're kind of getting, the conversation going, and something's not sitting right. There's just, I can't, I, yeah, I don't know. Something's not right. I just don't feel in alignment with this person. But what does our mind say? But he's really nice. Or your mom's voice is inside of your head going, he's a doctor, honey. You would be set for life, right? Why would you let that go? So all these voices go in your head. And commonly what we do is we ignore our intuition, we ignore our gut, and we go, well, he is really, or she is really good on paper. Like, she is a nice person. They haven't done anything wrong. You just have a feeling. You don't even know what that feeling is. It's just off. Let's just say that it's just off. So we ignore the intuition, we ignore the gut feeling, and we go with, well, they look really good on paper and they haven't done anything wrong to me. I'm going to go with this. You form a relationship, you build a relationship. Maybe this is a romantic relationship. You move in together, it goes on and on and on. And guess what you find out later? Right? You should have trusted yourself because he or she turned out to be a shit. A bad breakup, a narcissistic person, an abusive relationship, a toxic, a this, a that, a whatever. You knew in the beginning, you felt it, but you ignored it. And this is what we commonly do. So trust is the fourth step into thriving after toxic love. You have to trust yourself. Trust what's coming up, even if it doesn't make sense at the time. It doesn't have to make sense. It's not our jobs to figure out every single thing. It's the universe's job to figure all of that out. The universe is again, your body's constantly talking to you. And when you get that gut feeling and that intuition, that was your body talking to you. Trust that this is happening for a reason, that they look really good on paper, but something's not right. Something's off. And I gotta go with my gut. I gotta trust my gut. Again, this is a practice. So the more that you do that, the easier it's gonna be. The easier you're gonna recognize that intuition, that gut feeling, and go, yeah, nice to meet you. Really nice to meet you. Great date. Talk to you later. And let it be. Trust it. Trust, 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 trust. It's a practice. But I promise you, it is a great gift. Your trust muscle you're born with your trust muscle. This is not something that you have to find or it'll come to you. It's there. It's always there. Your trust muscle's always there. Now, your trust muscle may have been laying dormant for a while because you keep ignoring it. So it's just like really weak. Think of a muscle, an actual muscle when you go to the gym. If you haven't gone to the gym for 3, 4, 5, 6 months or years, your muscles are still there, but they're weak. They're flabby. They're just laying around, hanging out. Once you start going to the gym, you wake up the muscles. Oh, here I am. And so then it's like, I remember. And so every time you go to the gym, it's boom, it's protruding. Ooh, it's coming out. More and more and more. And then everybody can see it, right? Now you're walking around, you got like, whoop, sexy. Same thing with your intuition, your trust muscle. It's always there. It's just been laying dormant because you have ignored it. That's okay. Again, no shame, no blame, just is. So those are the 4 steps to thriving after toxic love. And what I'd like to give to you is the actual coaching call that I did. I think this was a webinar. I want to give that to you. It's a recorded call. It also comes with a workbook. and a meditation. I want to give that to you. So it'll be in the description for you. You just click on it and you'll get, it's like a package. You'll get all three of those things for you to, and what I do, because I don't remember if it was a coaching call or webinar, but I dove really deep into the 4 steps to thriving after toxic love. So I dive deep into the self-love, I dive deep into the forgiveness, I dive deep into the truth, and I dive deep into the trust so that you really, really get it. And here's what I always say. When you get these tools, listen to them and use them over and over again. Don't just one and done it. Don't listen to it one time, put it aside, you know, like a book, put it back on the shelf and just let it collect dust. The more you listen to these things over and over and over again, I know you may be thinking to yourself, well, Denise, that's a freaking waste of time. Why am I going to sit here and listen to an hour call over and over and over again? Here's why. Because in order to rewrite, recondition, reconnect your subconscious mind, you have to what? Hear it again and again. How do you think you learned all of these patterns and these beliefs that you have now? By seeing it over and over again, by hearing it over and over again. Same thing. You want to rewrite this? You got to listen to this new stuff over and over again. So that's why. So take advantage of this and listen to it over and over again. Okay? All right, my loves. Thank you so much for investing this time into you. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for listening. I am so honored that you're here listening to me. I love doing these videos. Let me know if you'd like me to share more about these topics, and smash that like button if you like this video, if it gave you value. As always, let me hear your comments. Wait, oh, don't forget, subscribe to my YouTube channel so that you never miss another video.